Hi, this is Spence, and this is going to be a video primarily about your practice rounds and maybe a little bit more information. It may be a little bit choppy as I stop and start different things, but it should be some respectable information. For one thing, I want you to start and look at the corporate lobby, which is your first screen here, the one you log in, and you're going to have a variety of pieces of information here. For one thing, you can see where the chapter quizzes are, as you might have already done, and BSG quiz 1 and 2. Make sure you know the distinction. There is a difference between the chapter 1 quiz and the BSG quiz number 1. Same with chapter 2 quiz and the BSG quiz number 2. So sometimes there's confusion on that. But to get into your rounds, you want to click on the decision reports. Once you click on that green button that says decisions and reports, you're going to come to this screen. And this screen is going to be the main screen that you use to make your decisions and read the results and reports to interpret and help you make future decisions. As you can see over here, we have the 10 different areas that you will be making decisions in. And then down here will be various reports that you'll be using. This section is projected performance. So as you are entering different numbers in here, making your decisions about how to proceed with your shoe manufacturing, you can see the differences that are happening as it predicts what's going to be going on next year. Again, it's projected performance. Also, each of these screens has information at the bottom that is important. Now, let's look at wholesale marketing. Clicking right there, and you will see a variety of things that you can be manipulating. You can see, again, there's 10 different decision screens, and this is basically too complicated for one person to understand very quickly. One thing that I have done, and I will be clarifying to you, is to be looking at different ways to divide up the efforts here. Again, this is too complicated for one person to take on quickly, so what I have done is I have divided up the 10 decision screens over here into more manageable sections. And many of you are in 3-person teams, and what I want you to do is to have the first person take these 4 areas, second person these 3, third person these 3. And I am suggesting that you do it by your last name in alphabetical order. So when you look at the 3 people or 4 people that are on your team in alphabetical order by last name, the first person would take whatever's in this column, second person, third person, and if you're in a 4-person team, the 4th person would take these sets of topics. Let's go back to the wholesale marketing. So the person that has wholesale marketing needs to become familiar with this screen. And the 2 main ways to do that, actually for anybody and every area, will be to go to the help area. This is at the top of each decision screens page. My heavy recommendation is to look at the video tutorial first. With that video tutorial, you will be seeing probably a 3 to 4 minute video that does a nice overview of the simulation. And that video will be a nice, as I mentioned, overview, but the real detail comes in the help document. This will be anywhere from a 3 to 5 page, and in this case, much more detailed with 14 pages of a help document that gives you a lot of the key information. Basically, anything that is on the screen here is going to be explained in that help document. What the numbers mean and how to interpret the results that may be showing up down here. And this, I think, is fairly well designed with a lot of bullet points. It highlights the tips that they give on understanding things, and just very valuable information. Now, the crucial part is that based on the assignments that you have and the expertise areas and what you've been allocated, you need to become the expert for your team. Again, too complicated for one person, but divvied up, it can make some sense. So you have your 3 or 4 areas. You need to go to those 3 or 4 decision screens that you're assigned and look at the help video and help document. I would encourage you to print out the help document and then go through with a highlighter and pencil, write in the margins, circle things. Just it's going to be very nice for you to be able to refer to that throughout the semester. Coming back to this wholesale marketing screen, for this initial practice round, I'm going to have you only focus on North America. We're not going to worry about the other 3 world markets. And these 5 various variables here have an influence on how many shoes you're going to be selling. Now, certainly the price is important. I want to make note that what's happening here is what you're making shoes and you're selling them to the retailers. The retailers are the shoe stores. For example, Shoe Carnival, Foot Locker, various shoe stores, Shoe Carnival, places like that. They are buying shoes from you, and right now this team is trying to sell them to those retailers for $60. They are spending $10 million. There's 3 more zeros here. $10 million in advertising. They're giving this type of a mail-in rebate and delivery time to the retailers and retailer support. Retailer support is the amount of money that your company will be giving each store. So Foot Locker, for example, has 150 stores throughout the nation. You'd be giving $4,000 to each, or material or equipment or displays worth $4,000 for them to put in their store to highlight your shoes. And so these are the various variables, and let's just go through and change something. Now, on each of these screens, when you change these numbers, usually down below you can see the results. Those results on this particular screen will show up in how many shoes you might have either a surplus. Now, right now at $60 a pair of shoe, you're going to have 506,000 shoes left over, given how many you're producing and trying to send out. Also, the operating profit right now on these shoes at that price would be $18.28. So you'll see changes in results here. You'll also see changes over here. Now let's make a quick change. Now notice that we have 506,000 extra at $60. If we make a change and we change this to, let's say we're going to charge $40, we're going to have a lot more retailers want to buy our shoe at $40 versus $60. And now you can see something that's happening is instead of a $500,000 surplus, we now have about a $900,000 shortage. So that's what the negative means, that we have so many people that want our shoes that we are going to be short $900,000. Now you can also see that instead of making $18 a pair of shoe, we're only making 41 cents per pair of shoe. So there's the plus and minus. When you go much less expensive, you're going to sell a lot more, but it probably eats significantly into your profit. I'm going to be sending your teams information on what I want you to be doing on some of these screens. For some of the teams, I'm going to have you increase the price by $8 to $12. Some of you I'm going to have decrease the price. Some of you I'm going to have increase your marketing by $5 million, and some I'm going to have you decrease it by $4, $5, $6 million. Then I'm going to let you just manipulate and make some changes to mail and rebate delivery time. Every time that you make a change, I want you to first off try to anticipate how that's going to have an impact on the demand. Again, if you raise the price, it's going to decrease demand. If you lower it, it'll increase. If you increase your advertising, you'll probably increase your demand. If you decrease it and cut it in half, you're going to cut demand because less people are going to be aware of it. All of these manipulations are going to affect demand as well as total cost and then your final revenues and things of that nature. So go ahead and make these changes. I then want you to go into production facilities, clicking on that, and here you can add and build more factory space. Now that'll take a year in order for that to be available. You can also purchase equipment. Now if you note right here that you have factory space in North America where you could make 5 million pair of shoes, but right now you only have equipment where you can make 4 million pair. So there's something like 20% of your factory space that doesn't have equipment in it. What I want you to do also is to add some more equipment right here. So you're going to add some things, for example, used equipment. You're going to have 250,000. You're going to add maybe some new equipment, 500,000. Now, so this is allowing you then, this year you could make 5.7 million pair of shoes instead of what you originally were doing at 4 million. But notice down here is that that costs money. That just costs $13,600,000. But again, you have to invest in the future, so that can be a wise move. I also want you to add and start building new factory space just to get used to this. Right now you've got equipment space, facility space for 5 million. Let's go ahead and you can pick and choose whatever. Let's add another million. All right, that added some more cost. Let's say we want to build some new factory space in Latin America since we don't have anything going there. We're going to build a factory that can make 1 million, and that's going to cost 20 million. Now these investments right here do eat away at your ending cash over here, but at some point in your simulation you are definitely going to be wanting to invest and expand. You can also go into your branded production, and this is where you tell somebody how many actual shoes to make. At this moment, since we did expand, we could make up to 5.7 million pair of shoes between what we have in factory space and then what we could do in overtime. And we have factory space for 5.7 million. Right now we're only making 4 million. So there's a lot of extra space, unutilized capacity. Now notice right down here that the cost is, given these numbers, is $25 per pair of shoe. If we go in and instead of making only 4 million, let's say we make 5 million. So we're going to use more factory space. 5 million. You see that we just saved $1 or something like $1.50 per pair of shoe by using more of our factory space. That's a good thing to keep in mind. You don't want to have a lot of your factory space and equipment not being used. So that will be important. Also up here you can change the quality of your material. If you have more styling, you spend more in styling, more number of models, superior materials, you could change this from a 4-star quality up to a 10-star. Or you could decrease things and become a 1 or 2-star shoe. So this is part of your strategic decisions as a team, is the type of shoe that you want to make. Do you want to make it high quality and probably charge a lot of money, or do you want a mid-range or even lower cost that would not cost nearly as much? So I want you to make some changes in wholesale marketing, production facilities, branded production, and if you want to, you could do some of these other things, but then I finally want you to come to finance and cash flow. And finance and cash flow has a lot of pieces of information here, but a couple of the crucial ones that you'll learn is what is your projected cash balance at the end of the year given all of the numbers that you've entered. And right now it's saying that we will probably be making about $33 million Now, there's going to be times where you're going to be making a lot of investments, you're going to be making decisions, and this number might be in the red. You might be negative $20 million because you're spending so much money, and which is fine because companies need to invest in the future. Now, how to deal with that is you may very well need to take out bank loans or issue more shares of stock. So these are a couple of the areas that you could tap into in order to boost your negative amounts and get back in the black. Now, if you do have a lot of money left over, there can be some real wisdom in giving out dividends and also repurchasing shares of stock. All right, I wanted to give you this brief overview and make sure that you understand the allocations and expertise areas that you've been assigned. I wanted to make sure that you know to go into the help areas, to watch that intro video, to look at the help document, because you want your teammates to be impressed with your knowledge. So when you do interact and collaborate with them, you are going to know your stuff. Ideally, they will, and if they turn to you and say, okay, well, what do we need to worry about with regard to the areas of private label or internet marketing or whatever, and you say, gosh, I've been real busy, I haven't quite been able to look at that stuff, that is not going to be a real valued perspective, especially as first impressions go. Ideally, you can get together with one or all of your other teammates and collaborate discussing this as you are entering these numbers into the decision screens. At the corporate lobby, this section right here is about a 2.5, maybe 3-minute video that clarifies how you can collaborate within the simulation. It is extremely helpful stuff where you can be sharing a screen, you can see each other's mouse moving around, and you can even talk to each other over the BSG decision screens. So very helpful thing. As you've logged into BSG, you can see the names of your teammates, so you could contact them. You could do this message center, so you need to be monitoring that. But I'd encourage you to also go into Canvas and click on the inbox there on the far left and send them an email through that inbox. I think that'll go also to their Ferris email, so they may see that much quicker. If it is tough to get into contact with them and do that, you as an individual can go in and make the changes within some of these decision screens that I was just talking about, making note of what is going on with regard to the variety of numbers. You could do that individually. Each of your teammates could go in and do those same manipulations that I was just describing earlier in this video and just watch how it has an effect. As I mentioned before, I'll be sending a document with information about the types of moves that I want you to make on the wholesale marketing screen, as well as you can see those allocations of who's going to be doing what expertise areas. So go ahead, whether individually or in collaboration with some of your teammates, go ahead, make changes, notice some of the differences that are showing up in various areas, and we will move on to more practice rounds in Phase A.